Hi everyone, welcome to Abundance of Books. My name is Julia. What is going on with this angle? Much better. Hi, welcome. Today I bring for you a video that is totally unplanned. I just need to scream about my love for a book. This is something I'm hoping to do more in 2023, is more single book reviews. This will not be that, this will be way more chaotic. But I just think it's interesting. The way that I found booktube was I was interested in someone explaining the ending of a book to me or screaming about it with me, and so I want to do that for other people. The book that I want to scream about is Sign Here by Claudia. I read this recently and I can't stop thinking about it, and it was just like my perfect collection of things, and so I need to convince you to read it too. Sign Here is a messy book. There's a lot going on with it and it doesn't all necessarily fit together really nicely, but in the end it kind of comes together. It kind of, in a weird way, works. It's kind of like if a Douglas Adams novel and a Celeste Ng novel had a baby. No, they didn't have a baby. If you took one chapter from each book and just spliced them together, like, it is truly two separate books for so much of it, but I loved both of them. The pitch of this is that our main character, Peyote Trip is his name. Are you sold already? Like, read this book. Is an employee in hell, and he is tasked with signing people up, having people sign away their souls for a deal, and he is trying to get, I think it's 5 members of the Harrison clan to sign up for some unknown reason. So you're following both Peyote Trip and a number of members of the Harrison family. So the Harrison family is just like a regular contemporary novel about family and siblings and all the weird ways that they relate to each other, the secrets that they're keeping from each other. It very much reminded me of Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. Obviously not as good, because that's not entirely the point of it, but they're such interesting characters. You're following Silas the dad, Lily the mom, and Mickey the girl kid. There's also Sean the boy kid, and they're so interesting. So much of this book too is basically you just trying to figure out which of the Harrisons is going to be the 5th one. You kind of have a vibe that these people are all screwed up in different ways. Which one of them is going to be the one to make the deal? And that's super fun to figure out. So you're following all of the Harrisons as they're summering at their house in the Hamptons, I don't know, somewhere people summer. And they're bringing along one of Mickey's friends. There's also a mystery because the uncle, the dad's brother, was in prison, died in prison. Someone died at the lake house that they're at. Creepy stuff is happening. All of it is excellent. The Harrison plotline is definitely slow burn. It starts in a very normal place and ends up in a very less normal place. But then you come to Peyote Trip's plotline, which is just perfection from the first second. Like, he's just such an excellent character voice. He's so interesting. There's all the rules to hell, which I really enjoy. Like, hell is one of my buzzwords in books. I absolutely love all the concepts you can come up with for it. Very Good Place vibes to it, like lots of rules about how heaven and hell work, and it's all super interesting. But Peyote is such a fun character to follow. His name is Peyote. He makes a new friend, a new person joins the 5th floor, because there are floors and all of the floors do something. But anyway, his new friend is named Calamity Gannon, Cal for short. Like, it's just, who comes up with this? Claudia, you're amazing. This is a debut. I can't get over it. So you're following Peyote and Cal, and they're going about living in hell or recruiting jobs. Cal also has a dark past that you come to learn about through the novel. It can feel very piecemeal. This book at times does feel like 5 different books all kind of crammed together, but I always say that my favorite books are a little bit messy, and the fact that I can acknowledge that is what makes them so great. Like, there are parts of this book that are slow, but I know that, and I would reread this again in a heartbeat. The first time I read it, I did do it via audio, which I think was amazing. There's one narrator for Peyote and one for all of the Harrisons, which got a little weird, but the Peyote one is so good. He brings so much life to it. He's got a bunch of like wacky side characters that he has to give voices for, and he nails it every single time. I really need to start keeping track of audiobook narrators because they changed the book so much, and I can't recommend him highly enough. There's a couple of quotes that I want to read you from this because I read this shortly after I finished Babel. Aren't you so proud of me? Because there were a couple of things that I noticed with Babel. Babel is very heavy-handed, and I was starting to think like, are these things that maybe I just don't enjoy reading about in books? But I think that Sign here made me realize that I do appreciate the conversations when they're brought up. I just don't want it to be the whole novel, and I want it to be set in an interesting way. So this has some discussion about violence toward women, I guess is the best way of saying it. It's this woman contemplating like, does she feel safe in the world, basically. So this is the mom reflecting on her time when she was a kid at the cabin, and Rose is the matriarch of the family. And Rose says, you know that worried feeling, that feeling in your gut all the time, no matter the quality or intention from your company, like your safety is a gift from the men around you, not a right. And then right after that, Lily in her head says, it was the first time a woman had ever spoken to Lily like that, as though the play they were in allowed intermissions. Like, that is just such a beautiful writing, so immediately descriptive. Like that got me instantly. Like, yeah, I know that feeling. The feeling of intermissions from life, from this play that we're all doing. Like, oh, amazing. I don't like my fiction to mimic real life. Like, I know being a woman sucks. You don't have to tell me that. I got it. But every once in a while, there's something, as long as it's not the whole book. But anyway, that was what made it so incredible when another similar idea came up, and I thought it was equally impactful. Also, strictly lit by the ring light in this room. It is so dark now that like, it's just pure blackness out here. I can barely read this. So this is Lily talking again. The world had told her that if she sacrificed as much as she could, if she kept herself small and quiet, swallowed back her questions, angers, and fears, she would eventually be light enough for someone else to carry. Amazing. Thank you. Like, yeah, you got it. Claudia, you're crushing it. And I love that those kinds of quotes are coming out of a book where the main character is named Peyote Trip. Like, it's perfection. It's perfection, and I will not hear otherwise. I know that it's clunky and there's bits that are bad, but whatever. Hell also does some really interesting things with time because time works differently down there. I do think that could have been expanded on a lot more, but also this could be so many books. I would read any book about any, I don't know, what do they call them there? Salesperson in hell doing their thing. I read about someone from the 4th floor, from the 3rd floor. Like, the world building in here is so rich that while this is definitely a standalone, and I think it would be a little clunky to make another book in this world, I can think of books in this world. Like, oh, is this when I start writing fan fiction? Has it happened? This just kind of hit all of my favorite themes. Like, it's got hell, it's got demons, it's got memory stuff. Memory stuff is a big one for me. It's got comedy, but it's also got heart. It's got death and mystery. There's beautiful writing, but there's also like so much plot happening. So much is happening at all times, and I feel like this is kind of my perfect hell book that I've been looking for. Like, I'm thinking of The Library of the Unwritten. This is what that book wanted to be. Like, the tone of it especially. Library of the Unwritten does some different things that are cool, but like this is tone personified, and I'm obsessed with it. And this book has ruined my life and genuinely put me in a reading slump where I didn't want to do anything, and I went out for dinner and I was like, I just want to go home and finish my book. That hasn't happened in a really long time, and I'm so happy that it happened with this one. Like, the thing that is so brilliant about this, and maybe unintentionally brilliant, is that comedy gets really old. If you have a purely comedic book, it gets tiring. Like, just hearing joke after joke isn't fun. But because this is intercut with a Celeste Ng novel, basically, every time you come back to that comedy, it feels new and fun and fresh. And of course, the plot lines merge far down the road. Can't explain that to you, but I'm obsessed with this book, and I hope that other people find it and love it as much as I do. That is Sign Here by Claudia Lux. One of my new favorite books. I'm sure you will be seeing it very shortly in a top 10 list of some sort. Where it'll rank, I don't know. I'm just so happy that I love this book because like it has all of my buzzwords in it, but for actually to live up to that rarely happens, so I'm very happy. Anyway, I've rambled long enough. Have I convinced you to read Sign Here by Claudia Lux? I hope so. I hope the comments are just yes, yes Julia, we vow to you, we will read this book. Anyway, I've talked long enough. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see you very soon in another video.